Have you ever felt like everyone else seemed to know exactly where they belonged while you were still just trying to figure it out?
Oh, absolutely. It is just so exhausting. You see people who seem completely anchored in their identity, their community, their work.
Right, and you're just standing there, spending years searching for some sense of purpose or belonging. Finding your place in the world is genuinely one of life's most difficult challenges.
It really is. And that is exactly why I'm so excited about our deep dive today. We are looking at this really fascinating set of notes, analyzing the Academy arc of the story Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah, and our mission today is to look way beyond the magic and the fantasy elements of the story. We are using this as a psychological lens to answer one central question. How do people actually discover where they truly belong in life? Okay, let's unpack this.
I love that framing because before we can even talk about finding our place, we have to understand why modern life makes us feel so disconnected in the first place.
Yeah, there is just this massive sense of being untethered right now.
Exactly. And the notes actually point to the protagonist's past life to explain this. Before he ends up in this fantasy world, he lived as a hikikomori.
Right, like a total shut-in for 34 years.
Yeah. And the source makes it clear that feeling lost like that often stems from a really paralyzing fear of failure.
It's like viewing a single failure as an absolute game over,
Right.
which just leads to complete social withdrawal.
Exactly. You take one hit and your brain says, well, better just never try anything ever again.
But wait, let me push back on that a little bit. Isn't that fear of failure somewhat justified? I mean, society literally demands perfection from us right now.
Well, you aren't wrong. The environmental pressure is very real. We live in a world with incredibly high social
Right,
expectations.
one bad presentation or one awkward social interaction, and it feels like your reputation is just permanently damaged.
Yeah, but the source frames this beautifully. It counters that fear by treating failure not as a definitive end, but as essential data collection.
Data collection. Okay, I like that.
Right. Feeling lost or stumbling isn't some moral defect, it's just a normal part of growth. It is empirical data on what doesn't work.
So as long as we don't let one stumble, paralyze our future attempts, we're basically just running experiments.
Precisely. And overcoming that fear of failure means we have to completely abandon this unrealistic expectation that we are going to suddenly stumble upon our grand calling.
Oh, the myth of instant purpose.
Yeah.
We get so terrified of failing that we just wait around for a magical destiny to drop out of the sky.
What's fascinating here is how the source critiques this exact pursuit. They talk about the Demon King Badagati's nephew.
Oh yeah, he is the perfect cautionary tale for this.
He really is. He was completely obsessed with becoming the quote-unquote world's strongest hero.
Which just sounds so exhausting. Chasing a massive instant purpose like that, it actually leaves you completely hollow.
Because it's purely an ego-driven fantasy. True learning and true purpose are almost always triggered by sheer survival and necessity instead.
Like the character Nanahoshi in the notes. She learns an entirely new language at record speed just because she literally had no escape route.
Yeah, she didn't have a grand passion for linguistics. She just had to adapt to survive.
And the key takeaway there is so profound. We falsely believe we should just know our purpose beforehand, but our potential is really unlocked by throwing ourselves into environments where we are forced to adapt.
Exactly. You don't find your purpose in a vacuum. You find it in the muddy reality of just trying to figure things out.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This idea of gradual adaptation brings us directly to the core brilliance of Mushoku Tensei's Academy arc.
Right, the grounding of immense power in very boring everyday reality.
Yes, you have the protagonist Rudius. He possesses this world-bending, god-tier magical power. But he doesn't just walk in and assert dominance.
No, he relies on what the notes call strategic humility.
Exactly. He bows deeply to avoid friction, and he apologizes in private to prevent public blow-ups. And he relies on his incredibly mundane adventurer skills.
He treats those foundational skills like a lifeline.
Right, there is that great analogy in the source, comparing skills to a jealous partner. Like, muscles get jealous. If you don't pay attention to them every day, they'll turn away from you.
I love that quote. And psychologically, finding your place isn't about dramatic victories. It's about automating your habits.
Automating your habits, like
Right.
taking motivation entirely out of the equation.
Exactly. You stabilize your mental baseline through repetitive routines so you can weather uncertainty. When a crisis hits, your automated habits just catch you.
But wait, let me challenge you on this. If you are putting in all this hard, mundane work, shouldn't you claim the credit for it? I mean, you need to build your own reputation, right?
I mean, logically, you'd think so. That's what we are taught to do. But the source introduces this really powerful concept of giving the flower to someone else.
Giving the flower, like intentionally letting someone else take the spotlight.
Yeah, letting them take the credit. Because by doing that, you actually make them indebted to you.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Uh,
so it builds this massive foundation of trust.
Right. True power in society isn't actually individual strength, it's connection power.
Connection power. I really like that phrase.
When you utilize the strengths of others and you help them succeed, you are weaving a web. You create a network that naturally anchors you in the world.
And that network is what gives you a sense of belonging. You belong because people rely on you, not because you're the loudest person in the room.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this kind of contribution naturally evolves into really deep relationships.
And those relationships become the mirror for finding our own identity.
Exactly. The source notes these really subtle rules of connection that help build that identity, like the power of a simple smile.
Oh, right, with the super tribe.
Yeah, a smile is a universal language to disarm hostility. It is the most basic tool for connection.
It hacks the brain's threat detection instantly. And then, going deeper than that, there's the unspoken trust of not prying into the secrets of the people who help you.
That is such a vital point.
I call it adult empathy. The source points out how Luke defends Rudius's unspoken personal struggles. He knows something is wrong, but he doesn't force a big, messy confrontation.
Which is such a refreshing take on support. True belonging means recognizing that everyone has hidden burdens.
Right. And giving them the grace to heal without judgment or forced exposure. You don't have to pry everything open to be a good friend.
Sometimes you just need to know when to step back. Yielding the stage when others are building their own bonds is just as important.
Yeah, these relationships demand that we grow, though. And the uncomfortable parts of growth are really what cement our confidence and our sense of belonging.
Because growth is rarely easy. The notes bring up this concept of intentionally tackling disliked tasks.
Not just hard tasks, but the ones you actively dread doing.
Exactly. Because the source argues that avoiding what you hate actually weakens your mental resilience over time.
Like, if you always run away from the annoying paperwork or an awkward phone call, you're just training your brain to flee.
Right. But overcoming those small, unpleasant tasks builds an unshakable self-trust. You prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort.
Which brings us to a really beautiful definition of defeat from the source. They compare a broken sword to a broken heart.
Yes. True defeat isn't when the sword breaks.
Right, the broken sword is just a lost tool. It's a lost job or a failed project.
Exactly. Defeat is when the heart breaks. When you just completely give up. As long as you maintain your inner fire and adapt through a second opinion or collective intelligence, you haven't lost.
So every setback, if handled with the help of your network, actually just deepens your roots in the world.
Precisely. It is all about the courage to keep going.
So what does this all mean? Let's translate these philosophical and psychological concepts into an actionable toolkit for the listener right now.
Yeah, let's look at the practical lessons from the sources. Step 1 is to automate your foundation.
Do not rely on motivation because motivation is totally fickle.
Right, build a mundane, repetitive routine to free up your mental resources for the hard stuff.
I love that. And step 2 is to preempt the explosion.
This one is huge. If a mistake happens, use immediate self-disclosure.
Basically, go admit it in private to diffuse the anger before it turns into a massive public shaming.
Exactly. You take control of the narrative. Step 3 is simply to admit ignorance.
Just saying, I don't know, but I'll find out. It is so much better than faking knowledge.
It really is. It protects your long-term credibility. People trust you more when you admit what you don't know.
And the final step? Cultivate intangible assets.
Yeah, shift your focus away from raw status or shiny titles. Invest in things that actually anchor you.
Like your health, your adaptable skulls, and the deep bonds of friendship. Because those are the things that survive when the sword breaks.
They are the actual foundation of belonging.
So bringing it all together, the main takeaway here is really clear. Most people do not find their place in the world overnight.
No, they don't. It's not something you just magically stumble upon.
Right, they build it. They build it through relationships, through contribution, through growth, and the courage to keep moving forward.
And I want to leave you with one final question to ponder today. If belonging isn't a destination you stumble upon, but a house you have to build brick by brick, well, which uncomfortable brick are you avoiding laying down right now just because it feels too mundane or difficult?
What a fantastic question to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go lay that brick, and we will catch you next